Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama spent time in West Virginia last week with town hall-style meetings. Clinton's town hall event was in Charleston, Obama's was in Beckley. In this segment, we're going to examine differences in their answers, style, and in their supporters. Joining us now are Scott Finn and Anna Sale, who covered these events. Both to you, welcome. First, we're going to see how the candidates address the question of the high cost of gasoline. They were both asked a question at their town hall-style events. Scott, what struck you about Senator Clinton's response?
Well, it was very specific and detailed, and it was also pretty partisan and hard-hitting. I think that goes along with Hillary Clinton's sort of image. So we have a tape of that we could roll and let people see for themselves.
We have something in America called the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, where we buy oil and we put it in a big reserve and we save it in case of some big emergency. But we're buying it, the federal government is buying it at these ridiculously high prices, and it's 97% full. So number one, I would stop buying it at these high prices. And number two, I would let some of it out into the market to try to drive the price down to compete with the oil companies and the oil producing countries. But number three, we have got to get serious about becoming energy independent when it comes to foreign oil. You know, I just tell you, it is heartbreaking to me that we are now more dependent on foreign oil today than we were on 9/11. Does anybody remember what oil cost a barrel when George Bush became president? $20 a barrel. It's $112 a barrel and going up. So we are over the barrel, aren't we? We've got to be more energy efficient. We have to put higher gas mileage cars on a faster track. I was in Detroit this morning, and we know that we could do a lot more, but we got to help the auto companies and the auto workers. We can't expect them to do it all on their own because they have a lot of competition where the companies they compete with get help from the countries that they're from. Japan, South Korea, those countries all subsidize, the production of cars and research. So we've got to get smart and help our car companies. We have to do a fast, accelerated research project into what we can do more with blended fuels, like more different kinds of ethanol. How many of you have followed what they do in Brazil? Brazil uses sugar cane. And so now Brazil is energy independent. Every car in Brazil runs on a combination of gasoline and sugarcane ethanol. These are all what's called flex fuel cars. So the Brazilians can look over what's going on with the oil producing countries and the big oil companies, and they can say, okay, just produce some more sugarcane. And what I learned about our cars is that the internal combustion engine hasn't changed very much from the Model T. Some of you all are probably experts in automobiles, but think about it. The Model T could run on a combination of ethanol and gas. So we could start on a much faster track producing more cars. Now that would mean requiring the oil companies to put those pumps in that would pump the flex fuel, what's called E85, the combined fuel. So there's a lot we can do. Why is that important? Because as long as the oil companies and the oil-producing countries think we won't do it, they can charge whatever they want. I'll tell you, as president, you will not see me holding hands with the Saudis. You'll see me holding the Saudis accountable and getting us on a better track to energy independence. That's what we're going to do.
So there was Senator Clinton's very detailed answer. You were right. Senator Obama in Beckley got the same question about the high cost of gas. What struck you about his response?
Well, he also talked about the need to stabilize the Middle East and get off foreign oil. And he also talked about the need for a national comprehensive energy plan. But what struck me is he also talked about the importance of consumers' decisions, that this just wasn't about what the government can do.
Mm-hmm. What can we do about it? Well, I do believe that we can go after some of these windfall profits to invest in increased refinery capacity, to invest in alternative fuel research. I also think, by the way, that if we start having a more sensible policy in the Middle East, and we're not talking about war all the time with respect to Iran, that will have an influence on oil prices as well. To the extent that the economy is slowing down, that is probably going to lower demand for oil, and that will potentially bring prices down somewhat, although the problem is they're priced in dollars and the dollar is sinking, and that's creating a problem. So we've got to strengthen our economy. That will actually potentially reduce gas prices. But the main thing, and here's the hard truth, one of the things I try to do is not just tell people what they want to hear, but tell them what they need to hear. The hard truth is the only way to, over the long term, reduce gas prices is to reduce demand. And the only way to reduce demand is if we are creating more fuel-efficient cars, increasing gas mileage. And I went to Detroit. I gave a speech, not to the environmental groups, but to the automakers in Detroit, and I said, you need to change your ways. We will help you. We'll invest in coming up with alternative technologies. We'll invest billions of dollars in looking for alternative fuels like cellulosic ethanol. But you've got to be on board with this thing. Not only because that's the only way to reduce demand and bring gas prices down over the long term, but also because that's how we're going to create new jobs. See, this whole energy sector, there's no reason why we can't create millions of new jobs in solar and in wind and in alternative fuels. And we should be producing the most fuel-efficient cars here in the United States. We shouldn't wait until the Japanese make them and then we try to figure out how to copy them. We've got the best workers, the best scientists, the best minds, but we're not investing in it. That's why I've put forward a plan that says we're going to charge polluters for the carbon that they send in the atmosphere, and we're going to use billions of dollars to reinvest in these new technologies. That is going to happen, but I'll be honest with you. I won't get sworn in until January. So in the meantime, what kind of car do you drive? An Escalade? I'm sorry, man, but this is what I'm talking about right here. What mileage do you get on your Escalade? 8 miles a gallon?
So the reaction of the crowd there was really the story, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was laughter and clapping, and I was sitting where I couldn't see the questioner, so I'm not sure what his reaction was.
And I bet he got a lot of responses when he was walking out of the building.
I think so.